Hey everybody, all right, here we are at the Eucommia Bark farm. I mean, you can call it a farm, but we're in the wilderness here. We're in the Zhangjiajie area here in Western China. Now, of course, Zhangjiajie also has the name the Avatar Mountains because they were the inspiration for the floating mountains in Avatar. So we've got all that magic sucking up into these Eucommia trees here. And what we're looking for is the bark. This is one of the all-time favorite tonic herbs. It's one of the primary ingredients in our Jing blend. And my gosh, I fell in love with this herb so much years ago when I first came across it. Now, you've often heard me talk about Shen Nong's first materia medica. It's the first materia medica to be produced, 200 BC. And this was the absolute first of the superior herbs listed down there in that materia medica. It's absolutely famous. Now, what we do, of course, we harvest D Dao. And so we are up in the area where the many ancient herbalists have said, you get your Eucommia bark from here, it's going to have the most magical healing properties that you can possibly get. And that's why it's here that we look to source this Eucommia bark, this incredible herb, this incredible Yang Jing tonic that gets deep into the kidney line and helps us basically build a strong foundation for our metabolism, for our energy. It's highly, highly effective for building stamina in the body. And of course, when you're working on the kidneys, you are working on the Jing. Now, being a Yang Jing tonic, and actually being the primary Yang Jing tonic in that whole Taoist tonic herbal system, it's working on the bone strength, and it's really famous for working on the bones. In fact, if there's any degeneration or wastage of bone density, Eucommia bark is the first tonic herb that you can include in your diet to build that back, and it does that through working on the kidney function. And you can see, since it is working on our connective tissue and our tendons, on our whole fascial system, that's why it's so effective. And you can see there's this silk here. Now, this is a very, very healthy Eucommia, piece of Eucommia bark here, harvested off trees between 8 and 40 years old. This grove here was started to be laid down 40 years ago in the 1970s, when there was a surge of popularity for the Eucommia bark again. Just this surge of people wanting to get back onto these longevity tonics. And so the people, the local government started just like nudging along these Eucommia trees. And so this whole valley is lined with Eucommia trees just growing in amongst the wild, shadowed by these two mountains. And that's why it's so effective. You grow Eucommia bark in areas where it's not really native, where it doesn't want to be growing, you're not going to be getting this incredibly stretchy, strong silk between the bark. And then what we do is we get this sun-dried, and then we dual extract that to get your powder. And so what you're looking at then is a very adaptogenic, very potent herb, dripping in all the energetics and the substances because it was grown in an area that's nice and wild. D Dao is that philosophy, remember, where we harvest and source herbs from their original place. As is laid down by ancient herbalists, they said, you want the most effective Eucommia bark? You go and harvest it here. And this is the area. This is why it's so magic. And this is why when we get Eucommia bark into our diets, we start to feel we have less and less reliance on external stimulants and practices and things we need to give us energy. We start building back our own energy. That's what Jing is all about. And that's why this is such an incredible longevity tonic, and it's one that I'm going to be keeping in my diet for a long time, just by taking that Jing blend, or even sometimes just taking individual Eucommia. I know I've got those substances and those energies coming into my body and helping that kidney system, right, get itself really nice and strong, get it singing and dancing, adapting the way that it wants to, so that my body can regulate the regeneration of tissue, the regeneration of joint tissue, ligaments, tendons, and bone, especially when it comes to Eucommia. Because bone degeneration, the wasting away of bone, is one of the things that really causes such aging. It can cause premature aging, and your whole structure starts to really fail and get a little bit fatigued and weakened. You're not having the foundations for a really nice, long, healthy life, a potentiated body and a potentiated life. And herbs, Jing herbs, like this Yang Jing herb Eucommia bark can become a part of our diet very easily. Take that dual extracted powder and you can put it in smoothies, hot tonics, in coffees, in hot chocolates, just in hot water with a little bit of sweetener, a dash of nut milk, and drink that down. It's an incredible tonic, especially for the morning time. Really invigorate the body over time. Throughout Asia, they've got so many studies on Eucommia bark being used to lower high blood pressure. Basically, it's got hypotensive compounds within the bark, within this silk, that helps the body regulate that blood pressure and bring it back down into balance. It's a really nice one just to, just to be aware of and have in your apothecary, even if it is just for that reason. Being a Jing tonic, a lot of people use it to get themselves nice and potent within their sexual function. A lot of people use it to get their fertility really rocking, really back on track, and that's for men and women. So whether you are using it to bring yourself back into balance, if you need to bring your blood pressure down a little bit, if you're exhausted, you need to build that back, you need to build back your sex hormones, your fertility and your sexual vigor, whether you need to be healing from damaged joints or a damaged bone or a little bit of bone degeneration or something going on like there, or whether you are just looking to ensure that you have nice, strong, healthy joints, bones, kidney function, sexual potential, sex hormones, baseline for a nice, healthy metabolism, you can use Eucommia bark for any of those intentions. I've really been loving seeing over the years just how many people have expressed how amazing the transformations have been over time as they take it for weeks, months, and then years, because remember, tonic herbalism and adaptogens are all about that accumulation of benefit, because they're working with your body to help teach your organ systems, your immune system. Incredible immune tonic, by the way. Let me just touch on that. Often Jing herbs don't really get the credit for being such amazing immunological herbs, but the research behind what Eucommia does for your surface immunity, for your phagocytic action, so that's those little immune cells that go up and eat up anything on that surface to stop any pathogens, viruses, bacterium getting into your body. An incredible herb for that, because if you want a strong immune system, and in saying that, strong digestive power, whatever it is, you always need the foundations, the soil, figuratively speaking, of your body to be really strong, roots to be deep. That's your kidneys. When you've got a primary, incredible Yang Jing tonic like Eucommia bark in your diet, you're doing just that, and then this happens to correlate to incredible surface immunity. And so you can probably tell, I absolutely love this herb. I think it's one that's not enough Westerners are on yet, and in saying that, not even enough people here in China or through the Orient are really on it. There's really, just now we see a massive resurgence of tonic herbalism and these kinds of herbs coming back into the diet. It less and less been about that type of herbalism that's just reaction, just using herbs to treat symptoms, but rather getting onto the herbs preventatively. And because you have this beautiful, fun intention for your and your family's life to be nice and long, really nice and healthy, so you include them in your diet. That's one of these herbs, Eucommia bark, or duzhong as they call it here. Enjoy, get it into your life, whether it's on its own or in the Jing blend.